I'd like to briefly talk a little bit about Viernes and Domingo. And in my book, there's three types of people on this planet. Those that make things happen, those that are thinking about making things happen, and those that wonder what happened. Jean and Silme were, of course, unequivocally in the first category. They made things happen. I was just out of high school when I came across Jean and Silme, and this was in the context of me joining the Union of Democratic Filipinos, KDP, that Jean and Silme were also members of. And I recall attending the Far West, some of the conferences, including the Far West Convention, and observing Jean and Silme in these gatherings. One of the things that really strikes me for Silme is that he has a very strong, flamboyant personality, very able to be jovial and be able to engage people in dialogue. Also also Jean, very mellow, kind of more of a subdued personality compared to Silme, but that one of the things that I have learned in terms of their lives is that they do share the parallels that both of their fathers came from the Philippines in the 1920s to work to find a better living here in this country. Jean was born in Yakima, and he was born to Betty and Felix Viernes. And Felix Viernes' father had worked up and down the West Coast and finally settled in Wapato for the family. Jean began his work in the canneries at a young age, 14, 15 years old, and he had to kind of fudge his age there a bit to get in the canneries, and was exposed to the harsh realities of the substandard working conditions and the living conditions there of the facilities. And one of the things that then happened is that he advocated for his improvements on an individual basis, and then collectively united with with Silme and others to address that issue. Jean was the eldest of the ninth child, and upon his death, he was providing financial support for his family and his then mother, who was a widower. For Silme, he was born in Texas, and this is 1952, and his father, Domingo, came here also in the 1920s, and he had traveled, and he had to go to the Philippines. He was drafted to fight the U.S.-Japanese war. And upon return, he brought Anni with him. Where's Anni? Where's Anni? Domingo? And so, Silme was the third child of 5 children. And also, Silme, he spent some of the summers there working in the canneries and was exposed to those challenging situations. And so when Jean and Silme had met, one of the things that they took on was the forming of the Alascaro Canneries Workers Union, and that was initiated by also Domingo Jr. Is he here? Is Amicio here? No? Okay. Yeah. So with that, through the ACWA, they initiated, there were a lot of gains that they made through legal battles. And then what they saw was that there was a need to connect up with the other organizations and groups of workers, workers of color. So in 1973, the Alaskan Canneries Workers Association, the United Construction Workers, primarily of Black and African American workers, as well as the Latino workers from the farm workers, United Farm Workers of America. They pulled their resource and came together to form the Northwest Law and Employment Organization, which was the precursor to LILO, which now is the Legacy of Equality of Leadership and Organizing. So in their efforts, one of the things that became clear to them was the need to make these connections with all of the workers across the world. The heritage and legacy of the ILWU had a very important impact on them. Jean and Silme sought out other labor leaders who were active during the 20s, 30s, 40s in the ILWU, including Chris Mensalves, Mario Hermoso, Leo Pablo. So they made connections with folks, and through their research, they instituted a reform movement within the local ILWU, because there was a lot of the corruptions that were in existence at the time. So the reform movement was initiated in 1977, and then in the 1981, June 1st was when they actually were able to make the first dispatching in a fair way, and that was also the time that Jean and Silme were assassinated on that same day that they were implementing that. The issue of then with the workers coming together in the with ILWU and what have you, they very much persisted in their efforts. People who then came in are some of the people here, and David Dello, John Falk, Terry Mass, and others who stepped forward to continue that work. One of the things for me in regards to the issue of international solidarity, as I mentioned, that was a key component in the lives of Jean and Silme. The thing concretely how that was expressed was they had passed the resolution prior to their deaths at the ILWU convention in Hawaii, and that resolution was to call for the investigations of the working conditions of Filipinos by the ILWU. So with that, in regards to Jean and Silme, is what I recall. And again, as I mentioned earlier, that really they were about promoting dialogue and cooperation and building unity, so that through collective action, we can make things happen in this world.